big component of our economy, of course, is foreign direct investments. We've seen steady outflows of foreign investors in the country for a few years now, and this year, of course, is no different from the past 2 or 3 years. Do you think more can be done when it comes to attracting FDIs, particularly when we compare it against some of our neighbors?
Yeah, I believe that we can do more. Um, of course, there are some good news that we read in the papers, like total investments for this first half year, 64.8 billion already. But I was kind of surprised because if you look at the composition of this 64.8 billion, right? We always thought that the bulk of it is actually from FDIs. But do you know that 70% of this is actually from DDIs, domestic direct investments, versus foreign? So our foreign direct investments that we were able to attract was only 19.5 billion. So we really have a lot to do in order to improve on this. And if you look at this, you see, it generally takes 6 months or more for incentives to be approved, right? So all these applications would have all been submitted in 2019. I think the question that we should ask is actually how many of these applications have been received this year, right? Because then that will affect our numbers for the second half of 2020. And what's happening now is that with the pandemic, multinationals are starting to realize that, look, I cannot put all my eggs in one basket, whether it's my production or my distribution, right? So I don't want to be overly dependent on just one particular country. Yeah, so I want to sort of diversify and put my businesses, whether it's my suppliers, or my distribution arm or whatever, in more than just one country. And that's the reason why they've been looking out, and they've been looking to ASEAN, to Southeast Asia, right? But then the question is, look, there are many who have started doing all this restructuring and moving businesses out. Then the question is, how much of these businesses, was Malaysia able to capture? How much of this will be able to get? So this is what we would want. This is the kind of information that we would want from MITI, from MOF, right, to tell us the true picture, right, as to how we are actually faring where FDIs are concerned, right? This is a great opportunity for us, so we cannot let this opportunity pass us by. Our competitors, our neighbors, our competitors who are our neighbors, they're not just sitting still, right? We can do whatever we do, but others are doing, if compared to us, they are doing more. So they have become more attractive, right? So why are they more attractive? So if you look at it, firstly, of course, people will look at the tax rates, right? How competitive are our tax rates? So there's been a race to the bottom, yeah, where global taxes are concerned, corporate taxes, yeah, like the US, right, reduced it to 21% last year, right? And if you look at our neighbors, of course, Singapore, 13%, but even Thailand and Vietnam, which is up and coming, a very popular investment destination, the tax rate is only at 20%, whereas ours is at 24, right? So although Indonesia is at the same tax rate as us, 25 and ours 24, a little bit higher, but they have a lot of packages that are there and very attractive to investors. So recently I read about one huge automaker going to Singapore, right? Singapore for production, right? And Indonesia and Malaysia was bypassed. And this company is not, Malaysia is not new to this company. They already had some JV or some business in Malaysia before as well, right? But they chose to go with Singapore and with Indonesia. So I think we have to ask ourselves the question, why? How are they better than us? And we need to, do our part as well. So what is it that we need to revamp? I think the first thing, when we look at attractiveness of investment destination, we look at the 5 C's actually: clarity of our laws and our policies. I think one of the things that I think you would have read about it in the papers is the change with regard to hiring of foreigners, as well as renewing the work permits of the foreigners who are currently in Malaysia. And these includes the shareholders, all right, the foreign shareholders, the directors of these businesses. So when their work permit is up, the company cannot just renew. They would have to advertise on that My Future Jobs platform and see whether locals can be hired instead. So this really has shaken up the investment community, and and they are saying that this is definitely not good for us at all, right? So that there needs to be clarity and certainty, right? When they come in and invest, they bring a lot of money. We give them tax holidays for 5 years, 10 years. But during these 5 years or 10 years, we cannot be changing some of our policies, right, which they liked and which was the reason why they came in the first place, right? Clarity, certainty, consistency, continuity, confidence, right? So when we talk about confidence, we also talk about political stability. So I think this hasn't been in our favor lately as well, right? And quality of talent is important as well. So when we look at, how our competitors do better than us, and why investors prefer them, and then we look at them and we look at the talent that they have. Well, many of these talents are actually Malaysians, right? So what is it that we have not done right? We've talked about it, every budget nearly, right? What are the right policies? I don't think we are short of ideas as to what the right policies are, but I think it's more the political will to do the right thing, right? To produce world-class talent, not only to produce but also to retain them, right? We keep losing our talent. The nearest and the most of our talent will actually go down to Singapore, so we keep losing them. So what is it that we should be doing, to make sure that we retain them, so that whatever they are offering, we will be able to offer as well, because we will have this talent in Malaysia. All right. And I think finally is transparency in our approval process, right? If people can court investors, they go out proactively to court investors, and within a week can give the approval. And for us, it takes 6 months, 9 months, and they have to go present from one ministry to another ministry, before they get an answer. We're too slow, right? It's too cumbersome. Our processes are just too cumbersome. Businesses don't have time for this, right? They can't wait, right? Yeah. So I think these are my thoughts.